What's up, man? How about them Astros?
Did they win?
They're in game 3, something like that.
It is that time of year again, I guess.
Yeah, the good old World Series.
The only thing I know about the Astros now, even though that's my hometown, is the trash can thing.
Yes, that was a big scandal.
Well, how fucking stupid do you have to be to do that?
See, I'm on the flip side.
What?
Of course, I think it's a terrible thing. You shouldn't cheat.
Do you think it's
Don't cheat.
genius?
I think. I mean, they won. They were pretty smart with how they stole everyone's signs, but still,
I mean, come on.
Shouldn't do it.
What's that?
I mean, if you got a trash can, use it, right?
So how are they doing it again?
They were, oh God. So
they were signaling it with something, maybe like the pitch that's going to come.
Yes. So they stole,
That's what it was,
they stole the other team's pitch signals by having their own camera set up on a trash can. I'm pretty sure was how it was. And then they would deliver those pitches in a sign to their batters. So then they knew what was coming.
Holy shit.
I see. It's kind of impressive. But it's also like, that's kind of,
well, I mean,
a problem.
There's a lot of money on the line.
True.
I don't.
I mean, the problem is that they were found out, I guess.
It's a question about the nature of humanity.
Right.
And,
it's the first time that this scandal's ever occurred. I mean, people steal signs all the time. This is the first time that they actually filmed them and did a whole bunch of almost like spy.
Yeah. But you know what I think?
What's up, man?
We talk about human corruption and whatnot, but what if baseball teams are really just my cat knocking things off over in the corner?
What the heck?
What are you touching,
what
dude?
Did that sound?
Excuse me? Oh my god, how do they get that down?
What in the world? I think they always get that.
So what I want you to do is to continue my thought for me. I'm kidding, I already know what's going on. So basically, my tangent is that, sports teams, baseball teams, etc., they're winning things. They get money and stuff,
hopefully. That's the idea.
Hopefully. And, at some point they, get this money and they collect it and you get a lot of trophies and you keep it in your trophy cases and your coach is holding on stuff. And what if the coach and team, or at least the coach, is actually just a dragon? And that's how he's building his hoard. And that's why he cheated, because he really wants to build his hoard up.
So they want to take the trophy to put in their hoard. I see.
Yeah.
Oh no,
my cats are also trying to.
Yeah, the cats are losing their minds right now. I mean, this cat's chilling right now.
All right.
Yeah. So what if they are dragons? Like they've transformed themselves into out of their dragon form into human form. But dragons don't like doing that. Sometimes they stick in that form. You really read that? You see that? The Fizban himself says that dragons, there's a possibility they could be stuck in their form forever.
Wait, really? As like a human?
Yeah. If
aren't they all powerful creatures? Why would they be so limited?
If you're in it for a long time,
just undo it with your magic power. You're fucking connected right to the weave of the fabric of the world.
Yeah, but you've been disconnected for so long that now you're a wee little human for the rest of your life.
It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah. He said it doesn't happen all the time, but
not all the time. How does he even know these things? Who even is Fizban?
He's Fizban. Speaking of Fizban, he's
I'm Fizban.
He's Fizban.
That's I don't know, Tiamat or some shit. He's Ryan. So the Dungeon Crawl.
Yeah, we're talking the new D&D book.
I'm very excited about this. We're back in person. Hello.
Yeah, what's up?
Still changing our lighting and our setup. Hope you enjoy this. Also, audio-only listeners, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, so
come over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button.
Yes.
But yeah, this is the book we've been most excited for this year when it was announced. At least in the final trifecta, we got Witchlight, this book, Fizban, and then Strixhaven to ring in the new year. And then next year, we have the Multiverse Monsters of Madness, whatever, which sounds cool too. But I don't know what that's going to entail quite yet.
I mean, how are you not just blindly hyped for this thing?
What, the Monsters
of Multiverse? Yeah, the multiverse thing.
Because I don't know exactly. It's going to be the biggest D&D book of all time.
Wait,
right?
What?
I mean, at 5e at the very least. It's going to be a chunk. There's no way it can't be big if they're combining 30 races or 30 classes.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, sorry. I get that confused with the 5.5e.
That's in 2024.
Yeah.
That's still a ways off.
A little bit of ways off. But I think a big reason why we're excited for this, and my cats as well, is the person who is writing it.
Yeah, James Wyatt.
Traditionally, at least Ryan is, I don't read a ton of sources, but whenever he tells me about things and he's involved, I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, James White's done some cool stuff, and he didn't really take much of not really a hiatus from D&D, but he recently made a big return, and he helped out on the Ravenloft book, and this is his first like full-on book that he's made since his return, as far as I'm aware.
So we're properly hyped, and in my opinion, like the stuff that he's written is very content heavy, though his fantasy and world building is pretty great, but I think you'll notice when reading this, a pretty clear adjustment in how things are presented and how much, in my opinion, value you get for the amount of time and the amount of words and letters that your eye has gone over. Whether that's just because they didn't give him a bunch of budget and a bunch of fancy art, so they maybe reused a bunch of other assets.
Unless I decided to make it all at the same time and save money, which is...
Yeah, it's probably what they did.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, James White is a big Magic fan too, so... Maybe that had something to do with it.
Maybe it had something to do with it. So it alters it a little bit, but...
What is Fizban's?
What is Fizban's?
Let me tell you, you dear listener out there who has, maybe you stumbled across this, or you're like, hey, I don't know what Fizban is. Let me look up this review. And you stumbled across this page. Let me tell you. So it's about 220-ish pages, give or take, of dragon goodness. The first 20 pages is, if you're a player, the stuff you're going to be wanting to pay, or sorry, not the first 20 pages, 20 pages in total, I should say, if you're breaking it up. 20 pages in total is what you're going to want to pay attention to if you're a player. There's about 3 new sub-races, the Dragonborn sub-races that they released in Unearthed Arcana a while back.
Yeah, they've been cooking for quite some time now.
Yeah, sadly, if you're looking forward to the Kobold remaster thing that they did, not in here.
Not in here.
I saw some people theorizing that it'll be in the Multiverse 30X races.
Most likely.
So probably. There's 2 new dragon-related classes, the Way of the Ascended Dragon Monk and Drake Warden Ranger.
The Way of the Nerfed Dragon Monk and the Nerfed Drake Warden Ranger.
Yeah. And then there's 3 new feats that are obviously draconic in nature. It's kind of weird to say that these are new because they are just, we've seen them already in Unearthed Arcana. So,
and they're literally just rips of the Dragonborn race's inherent ability. So if you don't want to play a Dragonborn, but you want to have their racial ability, that's a feat that you can tack on
I kind of wish that they didn't do Unearthed Arcana because it feels like I'm playing an early access version of a game. It is. And then they release it. I'm like, not really that excited because I already know it was coming.
Well, that's the plague of a content creator. You know, if you want to stay on top of stuff, you got to cover everything.
Then they added 7 new dragon-related spells, which again, we're already in Unearthed Arcana. 8 new draconic gifts, cool, which are kind of like the gifts from the dark gifts from Ravenloft.
Just stuff that you can get and add to people to flavor them in a draconic manner.
13 new magical items, cool. The horde items that are in there are very interesting. They change depending on how long they stay within a horde, which is very cool. And then the next block of text, which would be about 200 pages worth, is all DM stuff. So this is the world building tips for dragons, how to role play them, how to bring them into your game, how to customize a lair and create a horde and add the magical items, which is always a tough thing to do because I never know what to put in a dragon's horde. Then you got the Draconomicon.
Draconomicon. That is the word.
Draconomicon. That is very in-depth. If you watched our dragon episode, this is basically that, just plus times 10. It does like every single dragon, including gym dragons. Those bad boys are back.
They're pretty cool.
Gives lots of tables for inspiration on how to add them into adventures, their lairs, what they do, what different ages of these dragons like to do in their goals. And then we have like 80 new dragon-related beasts that range from very low CRs to all the way to the Mac Daddy 30.
I'm pretty happy with the low CR stuff because it adds, I would say, variety, but again, they're all draconic themed, so maybe not. But
it's like if you took the Volo's guide that was like just about beholders or just about one of the creatures, the mind flayers, and then made a whole book about it.
Yeah, it's definitely reads, which Fizban is, but as somebody who is literally just obsessed with dragon, it's like, hey, you know, they're the kid in class that's sitting in the corner, and you bring up their favorite topic, and they're like, oh, you want to.
Right.
I've got like this whole journal about dragon, and they just talk and talk and talk. But
you're like, hey, I got someplace to be, pal.
You get a little interested. and you start reading through, and then you go through the whole thing. You're like, hey, that was pretty good. Some of it wasn't, some of it was. So just in general.
Yeah, let's hit what we normally do. Normally we hit up with our pros, cons, if you should pick it up, and then we'll go into detail. So if you don't want to check it out, we'll keep this early section no spoilers, spoiler free for you.
Yeah. So I think
you take it away first.
I think this book right now, I do recommend it.
Okay.
I do not think you have to have it.
True.
If you want dragons in your campaign, period, buy this.
Yeah, if you want to put the dragon in Dungeons and Dragons, this is probably an important book to have.
Which kind of sounds sad to say that you don't just get a ton of dragon stuff just by playing Dungeons and Dragons. But I think there's
to be fair, Braxton, you've played in a long form campaign in D&D, and how many dragons have you seen?
1, 2,
one's
3.
One's undead, so I don't know if that counts. But
I've seen probably 3.
How many have you fought?
I fought a drake.
Doesn't count.
And 1 dragon, kind of, not really.
Yeah, so I haven't experienced it much.
No.
To be fair, that is on my end. You know, I can always toss a dragon.
They still feel like a very real presence. They're there.
True, you've definitely seen them and heard of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you don't use dragons in your game, probably not worth
Don't touch
picking
this. But there's so much content to flesh out your dragons in this, which is why I will continue to say, if you ever think about wanting to learn about dragons, whether you just want to have the context for characters in your game, or you want to run and use draconic things, get this book 100%. It is just jam-packed, like took a syringe and just put content into this thing. There's not a lot of art that's sprinkled around, some reused from Magic the Gathering, the Adventure of the Forgotten Realms. But I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would echo his sentiments. Definitely pick it up if you like dragons. If you don't, probably don't pick it up. If you like world building, probably pick it up. There's a lot of great world building stuff. I would say it is shorter in page count than other books, but doesn't mean it's
shorter, but this has probably one of the most number of stat blocks.
It gets into the meat pretty fast.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I would say, while the player options aren't necessarily the highest of quality, I still think there's some worthwhile like items and stuff in here. But that being said, I don't know if I could recommend this to players.
Even if you want to play those 2 classes, I honestly think they're some of the most lackluster classes in the entire game.
Getting there, for sure. I will say the stuff in Chapter 5, which we'll get to a little bit later, is cream of the crop. Great. I always love things like that. That's what our whole dragon-based episode was on, just from the 3.5e edition. I like the new spells and the magical items, and the bestiary. The bestiary is fairly well fleshed out. I have a few qualms with it here and there, but for the most part, I think it's very well done. Of course, something that I had to put down here is, if you're going into this wanting like maybe a short adventure, a one-shot or something to run, there's none of that. This is all, which is something I enjoy, something that's completely able to you to write
a tool
and pull to your heart's content. It's not a Curse of Strahd or a Candlekeep Mysteries that has all these one-shots and their modular stuff. It's just straight information. You take that deal with it as you will. I'm sad that the kobold's not in here. I was kind of expecting it.
There is a kobold in there in art form at one point.
True. And I did mention the Triconomicon from 3.5e edition, and as much as I do like Chapter 5, which is the big lore chapter for dragons, I still think that the 3.5e Triconomicon is more fleshed out, and it's more content. And
really?
I think it's more grimy and dirty. It might just be, my glass, what is it? Rose-rimmed glasses.
Rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah, looking backwards. But I really like the 3.5e one. So, I mean, it's fairly cheap if you want to go pick it up and also pair it with this one. I do like that there is a 5th edition option. I might add some backwards.
It has on backwards. Yeah, my audition hates me. So, but getting back to the dragons, Ryan was speaking on the previous Draconomicon, and I wanted to speak about how that surprises me, because while going through this one, for me, and this is kind of where you get into a little bit of spoilers, it genuinely takes every type of dragon, goes through every age it has, and if they would have a lair, like what their lair, like it's a shitload of stuff.
It is a shitload.
So I'm very surprised to hear that that's your opinion on it.
Well, if you think about it, this is just one chapter, while Draconomicon was a full book.
Holy fuck. Okay. Valid. All right, so should we?
Which, let me see here.
How many, pulling it up.
Yeah, I'm just going to see how many pages it was. That's just, okay.
So I assume you've used this. Like you've read it and you, yes. Okay.
So this is what I use primarily for our...
Are there creatures in it?
I actually don't think so. Yeah, there's a few.
Okay, so I was gonna say, like, would you recommend just getting the old Draconomicon, or
I mean, for if you want stuff for 5e, definitely get this. All right, get Fizzyban.
So, jumping into Fizban, it starts off with Elegy for the First World. We won't really go too much into particular what it is.
Here now.
Yeah, spoilers jumping in.
To be fair, if you're a player, I would probably not pick this book up. Yeah. So if you're a player, then maybe you should check out now. But if you like DMing, if you're DM stuff, then hang around. Because I mean, it's just the spoilers. It's not an adventure, so it's really hard to spoil things. But if you want a first look, then definitely hop out now. DMs pick up probably if you like dragons. Players probably not. Boom.
Yeah, there you go. So Elegy for the First World is essentially the setting of the tone for this book. Yes. It starts with a big old preamble about 2 poems that kind of represent Bahamut and Tiamat. Very fun to read, look through. It definitely got me in the mood for some dragoons. But outside of that, I mean, it outlines the chapters, what they're going to be about.
Yeah, talking about the first world.
Yeah.
This is only like 4 pages. I wish this was longer. Because it does set the tone for the lore, but I thought this was going to be a lot bigger. So like I said, we talked about the first world and stuff previously. So I expected there to be a little more interesting things on here. I do find it interesting and odd that it seems like this, like the elegy of the first world and the events that they talk about here, there's a section on there on like how it fits in with Eberron and Dragonlance and stuff here. But even still, that already those worlds have their own dragon stories, so it seems like a weird like mix matching of things together.
Well, I mean, I guess it's weird, but it's like I kind of appreciate it from the perspective of, hey, you might be running a campaign in one of these settings. This is how the dragon lore is if you didn't already know. Sure. Here you go, here's your tidbit. And I mean, it would be better to just read those books. Like when I went through Eberron, it continued to make me think it is one of the coolest fucking settings in all of D&D.
Eberron is pretty sick,
Like their dragon lore is so fucking cool as well for it. I won't jump into it. You can read it for yourself. But I see your plight with it. Is there any particular reason like you would maybe remove it? I still found it valuable.
No, I like it. It just seems like a strange little, like almost like a retcon anyway, like adding new lore on that didn't exist
Is it a
before.
retcon? Like it's different from the original content?
Especially in Dragonlance and Eberron. The dragons are quite different. I mean, it explains it there a little bit, but it's not terrible.
Okay. Yeah, the Dragonlance stands and fans are... They love their Dragonlance, I will say.
This is as far as I'm aware, the only mention of Dragonlance in the whole book is right here.
No, there's an item.
There's an item.
Is that the Dragonlance? Is that what Dragonlance is about?
No, but it's a cute little wink.
Yeah, it's a
cute little nod.
Oh, I did the wrong dragon. And then there's a little subsection on dragons and dungeons, and I appreciated the little tooltip there. But that one's short and sweet. Get you in the mood. Jump into character creation, which
Chapter 1, baby.
Chapter 1. I'll kind of lean into the subclasses, particularly on my end, because these, I don't know if it starts off with that. It goes through what it's going to bring, draconic races, subclass options. Here's the dragon, draconic feats, some nice art in here. But it starts with draconic races. So why don't you go ahead and take that one? I feel like that's more your shtick.
Draconic erasers.
Steve Racer.
These are the
speed.
The ones we covered in Honor of the Arcana, the Chromatic Dragonborn, Gem Dragonborn, and Metallic Dragonborn, which I really like. I really like these versions of the Dragonborns, and I will air my same concern that I did last time. What does this mean for the Dragonborn race that is in Player's Handbook? Does it just not exist? There's maybe it's a subspecies, a sub-race of the Dragonborn? I don't know.
Are all, it's basically all of these races are getting their variant human version.
Kinda, yeah.
That's basically what this is.
And I imagine a lot of these concerns will be alleviated with the big book that's coming out next year. That will combine everything in one big book, so it's not like I have to buy this book to then get this book. And to be fair, you don't even need the Player's Handbook nowadays to know how to play the game. Yeah. So maybe even the new players, I wouldn't even recommend to pick up the Player's Handbook.
Holy shit.
Well, because it has, if you pick up the SRD, it has a lot of the basic rules.
Sacrilege, man.
I know, but you can talk to your friends.
It's the big old
figure
PHB.
But would you say it's got the best races and best classes anymore?
I'd say I probably wouldn't use anything from it.
Exactly. Except for... No.
I'll retract that statement partially, just because there's probably some multi-classes and classes in there that I might enjoy.
Well, to be fair, we should make an episode on this. I think the multi-classing rules are stupid.
Oh, they are stupid. I love how Pathfinder does it.
So we shouldn't use the multi-classing rules that are in the Player's Handbook.
Yeah.
I think the only thing is that people probably use from Player's Handbook on a daily basis is a sword, an axe,
spell list.
The stuff that the spell list is in there.
That's it. If you could just buy the packet of spells, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, but I like the Dragonborns in here. I really like these races. I like their breath weapon is a little bit different than it was in Unearthed Arcana.
It is.
You like scaling things, the scales.
Yeah.
Dragons.
So funny. I want to touch back on a pretty heated discussion you and I had about the power level of each of the abilities that these races had in particular, and it's with their final ability, like their signature, like their chromatic, their gem, their whatever the other one, metallic. So it was particularly around that immunity, the damage immunity thing. And I've been thinking about it a bit more, starting at 5th level for an entire fucking minute. Mm-hmm. Your one damage type that you are locked into, when your party,
your race,
your whole party, right, is immune to that damage. So it could be pretty damn clutch, but it brings up that like ranger specificity thing. Like it's gonna be useless a lot of the time.
Fair.
But it's also a full action to do. So kind of weird in comparison to, being able to just fucking fly.
It's just you, right? Is it your whole party?
Is it your whole party? Or is it just you?
I think it's just you.
It's just you. Okay.
Your whole party would be
actually pretty insane. But
I didn't say anything because I wasn't sure if there was like a level 10 or something that changes that. But yeah, it's just you.
Gem dragons get telepathy, which is only useful depending on what campaign you are in, if there's a lot of RP. But you get to just fly. You can only use it once until you finish a long rest, but that's pretty damn good. And then Metallic Dragonborn has arguably the best one, I think.
I almost think, I don't know if I said this when we did Unearthed Arcana. I feel like the immunity, I feel like it should just be, I guess they already have resistance, but I feel like immunity is just so strong.
Immunity is strong. It's like, nope. And it's only one time until long rest, yeah.
Yeah.
But that could be like the entire fight of the day.
Yeah, a whole minute's a whole damn fight.
Yeah, pretty much. So if you're going to be playing like a tanky dude and you pick that, it could be problematic. I tend not to like these like hyper specific abilities that are just like, you don't touch me. It's like protection from in Magic the Gathering. I think that's why this leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And then finally, the metallic people, Dragonborn, again, innervating and repulsion breath. Basically, whenever you breathe on somebody, when you use your cone, your breath in the cone, they must succeed on a con save and a strength save. If they fail a con, they're incapacitated. If they fail a strength, they're prone. Two forced saves with your metallic breath you can use equal to your proficiency bonus plus your constitution modifier. Holy shit.
Yeah. That's
really good.
And it's going to be, the DC will be pretty high. 8 plus your con plus proficiency.
Yeah. It's super freaking bonkers. So I just feel like there's a bit of an imbalance there. But, the abilities of...
Especially compared to a Tiefling.
Tiefling get Hellish Rebuke, Darkness. They're so good.
But they get Darkness. No, they don't. They don't have Dark Vision? What? Dragonborns?
They don't. Interesting. Maybe they're trying to... Because literally everything has Dark Vision.
Trying to balance it out.
I guess. So...
I just find it weird because I'm pretty sure dragons, period, have Dark Vision, but that's just me.
Yeah. So I feel even though racial abilities and ancestry abilities don't need to be the most strong thing, these are a little bit imbalanced, but they're still cool. I still enjoy them. It's better than just...
And hey, maybe we'll see in the Multiverse of Madness book, it'll be... Maybe more races will be redone. Yeah. And better like this.
Maybe. But jumping into the... subclasses. These were both in Unearthed Arcana. It is the Way of the Ascendant Dragon, which sounds badass as fuck. And as Fizbad would say, your favorite Ascendant Dragon monks all narrate their bodily attacks with fun onomatopoeias. Swish, kapow, indeed.
You won't see any of these because the subclass is not very good.
It is not very good.
Which is sad because, and I'm saying it, I'm going out on a limb and saying it, that I think because of this now, I think Monk is maybe in the worst place of any class.
Even below Ranger?
Yes.
Holy shit.
I think Drake Warden's better than this. And that's saying something.
Yeah, I mean, let's surmise what you can do. I mean, essentially, you can change the damage type of your hits, which I hate how it's the way of the Ascendant Dragon. It should be a Tiamat themed thing because only Tiamat has command over all of the elements of the dragon, and like this dude is just the fucking avatar, I guess. Okay. But yeah, you can change the damage type of your hits.
Basically, how they changed it from Unearthed Arcana 2 was they doubled the key for some of the things, reduced the 11th level ability from 30 feet to 10 feet. And the final big feature used to do like half damage, and now it does no damage on a successful save.
Great. And then you know what? It's okay. It's saved because at level 6, guess what you get to do?
What?
You can fly.
Cool, man.
That is your entire 6th level.
That's more than what the Drake Warden can do.
Okay.
Drake Warden can't fly to level 15.
That's true. The Drake Warden also can't do a lot of things. The aspect of the word as well, I mean, you just get more radiation ability, a draconic aura, frightful presence, resistance to stuff. It's all right. And then the final one's like a big explosion that you can meta magic shape around people, and you pick who it happens to. It's okay. I mean, I usually think of a monk in games as this class that seemingly would be simple, but has a lot of complicated things you could do with its ability and key points, but this is nothing. Very much leaning into that again, the Drake Warden is literally just a ranger removed of all of its abilities from its subclass, and you just have a dragon that you can use your bonus action for.
That's cool.
No, it's not.
What?
It is essentially just a anthropomorphized, personified, what's their spell they use all the fucking time for bonus action?
Hunter's Mark?
Hunter's Mark. It is basically just an extra D6 of damage.
That's pretty good.
Is it fun? Flavor-wise, hell yeah.
You get to have your own little Drake that flies around with you.
Yeah, well, no.
And you can then ride it at level 15.
The riding is cool, but it's like this doesn't... And not that every single subclass has to be a damage, go class, but this is just like...
Look at that picture, man.
It is so cute. You've got like a Dragonborn hugging his Komodo dragon looking dude, and they're having a fun time.
I will say, so the weird thing about the flying stuff, I'm going to go into this now. The weird thing with the flying thing is... you have until level 15, you can ride it and go flying. Cool, that's awesome. But at level 10, I can't remember when it is, but there's a paladin spell. Was it like Summon Great Steed or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. It was in Tasha's. And they, I think there's an item in here. I can't remember exactly what, I should have written this down. But they can summon a dragon at level 10 and fly it. So faster than the Drake Warden can.
Yeah, how funny is that going to be?
Though, to be fair, you Drake, once it can fly, it could then grapple you and then pick you up.
Yeah.
So it's but then once you hit level 15, you don't really get anything.
Yeah.
So.
What I would think of the Drake Warden Ranger as is essentially you get an additional weapon that can do an AoE attack, a spell, and it can hit people for elemental damage. Outside of that, you don't get any like fun characteristic abilities outside of the inarguable enjoyment you might have about the antics that you and your dragon partner have.
I mean, it's Beast Warden, but better.
It is Beast Warden, but better, but not good enough. But what would I want? I don't know. I would want it to be able to, maybe it might be too strong, but I don't want to have to use a bonus action to command it. I just want it to be its own thing. What else are you
going to use your bonus action for?
Hunter's Mark. Making another attack.
What would you?
Having more fun. Me doing things with my dragon.
Using your extra attack. You just spoil it because you're a warlock. Using your extra attack isn't your bonus action as a ranger. It's just you get an extra attack.
I don't know. I'd rather do all that. And then my dragon's smart enough to like go attack people.
Yeah.
I've just never been a fan of if you don't command it, it does nothing.
Right.
It just feels lame. How many NPCs and enemies do you fight where it says they have, these minions and they don't do anything unless it's commanded by the big bad evil?
I mean, if it attacks, it does,
Not a lot of damage.
It does 1d6 plus proficiency bonus piercing damage.
I can add up, But I feel this would fit in with the original Player's Handbook. It is very simple and very straightforward. Not that everything has to be super fancy, but I'm just a little sad and disappointed. because there's no warlocks in this.
All right.
And they mention warlocks will make a pact with the Moondrake, whatever.
Yeah.
We need to do that. Come on. Patron.
Okay, next thing is the feats, which are pretty cool. We like those. Ormano has one of these, even though it was dragons, but we reflavored it. I don't think it changed really much at all.
Okay.
So
yeah, standard stuff. I mean, you can protect people, you can heal people. It's the abilities that are characteristic of these dragon
chapter
types.
1, baby.
That is chapter 1. It's okay. I mean, some nice character options if you want to be a dragon themed player or class.
Yeah.
I wouldn't highly recommend it. I'd probably find something that's like homebrewed online or on DM's Guild.
There's probably some cool ones out there.
Yeah. So I would recommend if you're looking for something in the lines of a draconic race or class, go online. Don't buy this book for those. It feels really bad saying that.
Right, but I mean that's player stuff. It's only 20 pages worth. Now we got the DM's juicy stuff.
Got the DM's juicy stuff. What is
actually, to be fair, I guess the spells in here are
spells,
also
magic
players.
items, horde magic items, draconic gifts. That is chapter 2.
Yeah, so that's what we're on. Yeah. Dragon magic. So what I like here.
So
that's pretty cool.
What is that? Is that a fruit?
So what I like here is the. We're jumping to the end. I'm doing it right now. I'm just gonna say my favorite stuff. The horde magic items. I really enjoy these.
It was pretty cool.
These are the ones that I mentioned previously that the longer they've been inside of a horde, the stronger they are. So
they sleep in the dragon's magic as he sits on them.
So you could, in theory, kill a older dragon and you probably have a stronger weapon, which makes sense. So the horde would be better. But I like the little quirks that are on these items. The little extra cute stuff that can be a part of them. I really enjoy it. What else I like? The draconic gifts are very cool. It's kind of like mini feats, I guess, that you can kind of like toss out and use. I think it's a cute little, I don't know, reminds me of Pathfinder, I guess, in a way that has these extra fun little feats. And then the spells I enjoy.
I believe Ralatham Psychic Lance. Could be incorrect. Yes. I think it was a Safer Suck spell. It is now not that.
Yes.
Which they reduced it from 8d6 to 7d6.
Still very strong.
It is very strong.
It's pretty great.
I love it.
I like that one.
It's the only warlock spell in there, so of course I don't like it.
Ash Chardalon's Stride, I really enjoy.
I just find the picture they had and it's so silly. What? Big ass dragon casts tiny fire steps. Why doesn't it just innately do that?
Because they cast magic, man.
It's so silly.
And then I also like Rhymes Binding Ice.
Rhymes Binding Ice is really cool.
Yeah, because it's got some cool extra damage and spells.
Am I upset that I can't summon a Draconic Spirit as a warlock? Should there be a Draconic Warlock subclass that is able to have this in their spell list? Yes, yes. That's
I do think the magic items, while there's a lot of different items, to me, the majority seem to fall flat.
I think Dragonlance and Dragonbow Wing were the best ones.
Yeah, they still, the majority of the items just don't do anything different than typical D&D item fare, which will be a trend as we get to the some of the chapters later.
Yeah.
Very typical kind of D&D stuff, which is not a bad thing, but it's just not a great thing. You know?
Do you want to use Flail of Tiamat and hit somebody for 14d6 damage?
I'm going to say my problem with the Flail of Tiamat. Cool weapon, great.
Yeah.
But I feel like it should have some downsides. It's the Flail of Tiamat, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. I did enjoy the Gold Canary.
It should be, like seeping a dark energy, like some sort of cursed magic or something, or have it be sentient and Tiamat's like beckoning you or something. Just something.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
Definitely my favorites would be the Ruby Weave gem. Just, as a warlock, it seems like a really good thing to have.
Right.
And Dragonlance combining with a Drake Warden to be able to get your Drake to have an extra attack. Whenever you attack a dragon near you, a dragon may use its attack immediately as a reaction.
That is nice.
Yeah. My cat is meowing right now, dude. He loves these items. But yeah, I think the items, like you said, a couple of them fall flat, but I would absolutely use the Dragonwing Bow or Dragonlance. It reminds me of Dragon's Dogma weapons.
Oh.
So yeah, really cool. And a bow that doesn't need ammo if you're taking care of ammo already. There you go.
Most people probably don't, I'd imagine.
Well, now this one
whole podcast episode.
Should be a whole podcast. Ammunition. Is it or is it not?
Realism.
Yeah.
Carry encumbrance.
Then horde magic items. What I want to ask you when you go into your explanation on this is,
I like those.
Did you find it cumbersome? Because a lot of what they do is trying to allow you to use this mid-session.
It's not necessarily cumbersome. I think it could be if you're not prepared for it. But I imagine something like this, like the way I would use something like this is to help me figure out, obviously there's a chapter later, but help me figure out a certain very powerful item to have within the horde, and to make it stand out, I guess, comparatively to the other items.
And then, your players go to get it and then they get eaten by something else that's not the dragon. Spoilers.
Whoa,
bud. Continue.
No, I like it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I did enjoy how it's kind of like a video game setting. D&D kind of created video games, if I may say that myself, but they've got the slumbering, stirring, awakened, and ascendant properties of how long it's sleeping in there.
Yeah.
My thoughts is like, what if there's this twisted dude who wants powerful magic items, and it's an elf or something. A race lives for a long time. They've been raising this dragon from birth just so they could cook magic items underneath it.
Whoa.
And then, he breaks the dragon's heart, but it crawls away and it seeks out the players in its humanoid form to get vengeance against its once master father figure, mother figure. And it has like these emotional qualms about killing because it raised them, it took care of them. That's just something that came to my mind.
Cool plot, yeah, it's your next campaign. It sounds like.
Sounds pretty cool.
But that type of stuff, the slumbering awakened, is used in the what's it called? The Wildemount book and the Critical Tal'Dorei book for the vestiges that they have.
Okay, pretty nifty.
Yeah, very cool. Those level up, while these don't really level up unless you put them in a dragon horde for some time.
Yeah, and then the Draconic Gifts stuff. I mean, it's similar to what you've seen in the past few books that have come out, stuff that flavors your character, kind of like what a background might do. It seems these gifts are replacing backgrounds a bit in terms of unique things you can tack onto your character. And I don't remember if it's right here in this part. It might be in the Draconomicon, but like the reasons how a dragon could have a half dragon, or like the reasons you could have these, how those are birthed. I think that's later on. I want to touch on that too. But that's chapter 2.
I like it.
Yeah. Psionic Reach, cool. Like that. That's my favorite one.
Boo.
This lady's fucking crazy, dude. There's a girl who killed a dragon, and it's like some sort of, I want to attain power, and it says dragon's blood could be as powerful as it is toxic, and she's about to dump poisonous, boiling dragon's blood onto her actual face, and she's just like, I have heard that this is going to be something that turns me like into the Joker. I don't know. I'm going to get a lot of power.
Either going to end great or end terribly.
Do you think her face is going to get burned off, or is she going to turn into some sort of dragon? She killed a white dragon, it looks like, or it's a green dragon. It's poisonous. So I don't think it's going to go very well for
her. Which brings us to chapter 3, everybody. Dragons at play.
In play.
Oh, dragons in play.
You read it right. You're good.
Dragons at play would be like a kids
daycare.
Yeah, kids daycare. That sounds kind of cute.
Yeah.
Little
dragon there's a bunch of small dragon links, dragons at play. Throw that as a dragon nursery in your world.
Yeah, I like it.
He's gonna put that in his campaign. I'm gonna my mind's gonna get blown.
But this one is all about like role-playing dragons, talking about their lifespan, their reproduction, the death of dragons, and their thirst for undeath. How they deal with shapeshifting. The shapeshifting thing is in here.
Do they thirst for undeath in this? That flavors it as dragons that come back from death is mostly part of a cult ritual.
True, but there's also the Lich.
Yeah, Draco-Lich.
The Draco-Lich dragons.
That's particularly what I'm referencing, actually.
The old Ebon Death here, right? And then you got the ghost dragons and the draconic shards. But then you also get into encounters, adventures, and full-on campaigns that these dragons could be.
You have a full campaign about dragons. That seems lame.
Dragons are sick, dude.
They're fucking lame. I'm just kidding. I love dragons.
But what I like about this, let me go into what I like. I really like the dragon encounters. I like having more options and more ideas.
Yeah.
For things I probably won't necessarily use as is, but to give me inspiration and ideas. And there's lots and lots of tables included in this book, which I really, really like.
Yeah, plenty of them.
I don't know. I don't think there's any, honestly, I think this might be my favorite chapter in the whole book. I don't think there's anything bad in here for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a massive fan of their tables. It's great for inspiration, but I always wish they were either formatted differently or put somewhere like all together. I don't know. My favorite part is definitely the two pictures they've got mentioning that, dragons of a similar color or kind of grouping
I do like
can
those
look
pictures.
very different. They've got kind of a chunky rune dragon. I can't remember their particular name, but he's like, yes, and he's gnawing on a bone. And then you've got this elegant dragon that obviously has probably a massive horn adorned with some really, really interesting jewelry and whatnot. It looks very regal, actually. Like this dragon's plotting some shit. Well, they both are, because I enjoyed it. And then it goes into dragon mannerisms.
But see, I like the dragon encounter complications. I really like that table because it helps make combat a little more dynamic instead of just fighting a bag of hit points, which that's what we're getting to in a few chapters, ladies and gentlemen. So instead of them just being a bag of hit points, you got these complications that can happen while you're fighting to make it a little more interesting.
Yeah. My favorite part was when they talk about how sometimes dragons and other creatures fall in love.
That's cute.
Yeah. It doesn't just flat out say they get it on, but,
But they get it on.
They get it on. And also, apparently, dragons can inseminate people to be half dragons just through their eggs being laying in a general area. Be careful.
Kind of like a hag nasties.
Kind of like a hag nasties. All right. I enjoyed it. I think it was good. I appreciated the lifespan, I think, the most. Again.
Yeah,
we talked about that a lot in our previous episode. Go check that out.
Yeah,
about
great
dragons.
episode.
It's like Ryan wrote this book.
Or I just got it all from James Wyatt's previous books. I'm pretty sure he wrote the other ones. Now I'm curious.
But what comes next?
What comes next is Chapter 4, everybody. Chapter 4 is another great chunky chapter about the layers in hordes, because you can't have a dragon without a horde and vice versa. It's very important to have both. What I really like here is something like I mentioned earlier, is a lot of times whenever you put a dragon into the world, the hardest part is in choosing what is going to be inside the horde. And there's great roll tables on the...
They do give you some.
Yeah, but before this book, there's great roll tables inside the DM's Guild, or not DM's Guild, DM's Guide. You can roll and find some magic items. But I've never really liked those. Those never really have helped me out. I really like the linking of horde stuff here, the plundering of the hordes, the how old it'll be, depending on what could possibly be inside, how much money could be inside the ancient dragon's horde.
This chapter fixed my biggest qualm with dragon hordes. Like, fucking why? Why gather all this human shit? You're a dragon. You're greater than all this. What do you care? And then,
because they're vain.
Well, that too. They literally seep their energy into it. They can link it. Like, it gives you uses for the horde. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. I loved that. I think this is my favorite chapter, honestly.
That's okay.
Shut the fuck up.
But then the what's in a horde. That's what I really liked. So I like that it has, like, where are these coins going to be from? If this dragon has lived tens of thousands of years, these are probably from an ancient culture that was local to this region, or again, I don't really use tables in a traditional sense where you roll a d6. I'll look and go, yeah, that's what coin is in here. And then the creating of the hordes, I really like, and what items and the mundane items that a dragon could be keeping.
Yeah,
super cool.
I think the obtuseness of the tables for me is, like, how often are you going to have lazily, I don't want to say lazily, but lazily DM style prepare for stuff, and you're like, fuck, I need to get my dragon horde shit out. You pause the game, you open your book, and you're like flipping through these 200 pages to try to get to the creating a horde. It's not going to be instantaneous for you to see this and get stuff out.
You have to roll on this and then go get the item.
So I just always kind of found these to be in a weird spot of just obtuseness. That's my favorite. What's the word of the day?
Well, I'll tell you how to make it easier, Braxton.
How do you do it?
Go to Don John.
Oh, yeah, Don John will.
donjon.bin.ish or something.
Yeah.
They have these, they don't have the specific horde roll table. If you roll on here and you get the, you get the legendary magic table item I thing, then they have those item tables on Don John for you to roll from.
Okay. It's time.
It's time, yeah. So we finished up to Chapter 4. Now we're on Chapter 5. This is the Draconomicon. Which is a whopping, big boy, 80 pages.
It's a lot to read through. And when I started going through this, I go, okay, they have sections for every single dragon, even ones that we didn't think were going to be in here. And you go and you start off with the Amethyst Dragon. And the structure is literally Amethyst Dragons. A little quip, creating one. Adventures you could possibly have for Amethyst Dragons. Connected creatures, their layers, their treasures.
A little map for each one.
this is the most useful thing for a DM if you're trying to flesh out shit for dragons. You are not going to be wanting for anything.
All the chromatics, all the metallics, and all the gems are in here.
This is why you buy this book, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think everything in here is fantastic. The battle maps, as we said, are delicious. I love me some good battle maps. Helps me draw because I'm not a good drawerist. Then we got the adventure hooks are great for each specific type of dragon. I think this is now. Would you say this is worth the $59.99 just for these 80 pages?
Honestly, this is a fuckload of content.
Right.
And if you sat down and you had an assignment, hey, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 20 or so dragons and give them these fleshed out sections, adventure hooks and whatnot, this would take ages. Like, this is a lot of work. And it does not feel as though it was thrown together, and it doesn't lose momentum at any single point in it. So, absolutely.
I would say the only difference I would say from Braxton's explanation there is if you don't want the bestiary and all the stat blocks and stuff, then just pick up the Draconomicon from 3.5e for this section. But if you also want the bestiary and all the extra stats, then I would definitely recommend this book for just for the chapter 5 and 6.
And if you're
chapter 4, 5, and 6,
tech reliant like me, still just do it for the D&D Beyond ease of looking through.
True.
Because you can just take these pictures and slide and drag them and print them and do whatever you want with them.
Yeah,
but
it is beautiful.
Based off of what Ryan said about the old Draconomicon, it just does sound like an amazing read. So check that out at some point.
It is an amazing read.
So I guess now is the time, before we get into stat blocks, what's your favorite dragon from this specifically?
I would say I really like the... which one was it? The deep dragons are cool.
Hard to go wrong with those.
Right. Dragon turtles are just great. Like the picture. You can't go wrong with the classic red dragon, of course, but I mean, I feel like that's cheating.
It is kind of cheating.
Fairy dragons were nice. I feel like I'm just naming all of them at this point.
Yeah.
I'd say the last one I would say would be the shadow dragon.
Yeah. My favorite...
Even if it's just for the description that Fizzband says.
Top 3. Count them 3.
Yeah, go to the top 3.
In no particular order. Deep dragons, again. You know,
good choice.
Here we like the Shadowfell and spooky, creepy, deep things. The Moonstone dragons. I love me some dreamy stuff.
That's a good one.
Those are so cool. And I really love the Amethyst dragon.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Amethyst dragon's nice.
I just love them. All the teleportation, the psionics, the desire to just lurk.
Is that the Eben? No, the Eden. What's his name?
Yes, it is one that you highlighted in our dragon episode. It's
Eldinser. That's right.
Eldinser.
Yeah.
He just wants to chill and observe things as inanimate objects.
Yeah, I like that they brought back that idea that I mentioned in our dragon book that he puts himself inside things, and now he's a draconic shard.
He's a pretty interesting one, I would say. So that's a good summary of chapter 5. I mean, the structure
without going into crazy detail in every single one.
But if you want a really comprehensive list of all the dragons in a modern format, it's definitely good for it.
Because the Dungeon Master's Guide and Monster Manual did a fairly piss poor job with the dragons.
Unfortunately, yes. And what I'm going to say about chapter 6, the bestiary here, is there's some lackluster stuff, plagued by the desire to, I think, make things simple. You can pick up this stat block and run this monster right away. And I think that makes some of these creatures, specifically at a high CR, in the Tarrasque level of boring. Not as boring, but...
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Riddle me this, Braxton.
I will.
How do you think this then bodes for a gigantic book next year that's all monsters?
Not
all monsters, but that's definitely what they're advertising.
I think their sweet spot is levels like 6 to 12. So I think they do some cool stuff there. Like the amount of abilities that these CR30s have is what I would wish the depth of a level 6 would have. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm worried about the early level and the late level stuff. I don't think it's gonna be too hot. I don't think it bodes well at all.
Yeah. I'd say I really like the gem dragons in here.
The gem dragons are sick, dude. They do the most.
So before we go into detail, well, not super detail, obviously, on these, but I'm going to say it as a general statement. My issue with this section is it very much feels samey. I think that's makes sense because it's literally as a dragon book. Yeah. even the dragons from the monster manual and in third-party material have the same, I mean, it's almost like copy-paste. They keep the same similar idea, same structure, just change the element or change what the breath weapon does and that type of stuff. And that's what the majority of this is. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
But I mean, if you're going up against the big bad and it's, an aspect of Bahamut or Tiamat, depending on how your campaign went, and it boils down to claw attacks, bite attacks, bolty attacks for many turns until you deal with their breath weapons, kill them once, they res up to 500, and then they get some extra abilities.
So, let's talk about that real fast.
I think because that's the structure of almost all these. All the dragons have a second life where they heal.
All the CR30s, the Great Worms and the aspects. So let me talk the aspects first. Let's talk.
It is the aspect. I think it's okay for it to not be full power, but it is CR30.
Sure. So first of all, I do want to say, and I'm sure we'll get comments if I don't mention this, is that first of all, if you're running a dragon, where is it? If you're running a dragon without this optional rule, then you should rethink your dragons. There's an optional rule, and it's mentioned a few times in here, but very, very vaguely, but definitely emphasized in the Dungeon Master's Guide, or Monster Manual, I can't remember. The dragons can have a number of once-a-day spells equaling their charisma, and their spell level can be no higher than a third of their CR. This is on page 86 of the Monster Manual.
I think that kind of fixes this.
And then their DC is 8 plus its proficiency bonus plus its charisma modifier. So you can give them some chunky spells like Meteor Swarm, which are doing some insane stuff for these aspects.
Stop.
Yeah.
8 plus proficiency?
Yeah, where's this proficiency here? Plus 9? Okay, so let's figure this out.
Plus 10.
So 8 plus 9 plus 10.
You are not saving, no matter who you are.
It's an aspect. It should be damn...
8 plus 9 plus 10, that's
powerful.
Like 27?
That's pretty damn high, but you're not fighting this until level 20 anyway.
8 plus 9 plus 10, is that 27? Yeah, that's 27.
Yeah.
Never mind, you could probably say
level
that.
20?
You would...
I'd say you got a paladin in the party.
Yeah, you would need to either have been buffed or nerfed.
You drink the...
I have never played...
Hero's Feast.
Yeah, I've never played CR30. This is like a big old raid boss. You're going to have some stacking shit.
Okay, but let's say that rule's not in there, right? And even if it is... Okay, so let's go along those lines here.
All right, Ryan, your character comes into the dragon's dungeon, and the first thing he goes, he's first in the initiative, and he's gonna... how many dice is he rolling? He's gonna try to bite you.
Sure.
Okay, another attack. He bites you again.
Okay.
Okay, he's gonna do his breath weapon that kind of like exalts you guys. I don't know. It does, a bunch of radiant damage. You guys might want to try to dodge this.
Well, let me tell you this, Braxton. First of all...
Yeah.
You can only do one bite attack, one claw attack, and then
Holy
one tail
fuck,
attack.
are you kidding me?
So you can't do that, first of all. Second of all...
it's a legendary attack legendary action to do 2 bites.
Yeah, and your breath weapon, we're talking specifically the aspect of Tiamat, I believe. You're looking at Bahamut. Same idea.
Yeah, Tiamat, same
idea.
The same idea. Bahamut can heal you, though.
But the breath weapon uses up its whole action, so it can't use the bite, claw, or anything. But to be fair, that is 71 average damage to everybody. Sure, that's a lot. But, and it has, this is another thing to point out, it has 5 legendary resistances that I believe get revamped, get added back whenever the
when it comes back, it gets them again.
Yeah.
And it gets mythic actions.
Okay, so let's break this down first. Legendary resistances, I think, are a necessary evil, unfortunately, when it comes to...
Yeah, otherwise your monster's just dead because you've got insane combos that are gone.
I have seen some interesting ideas, third-party ideas, to instead of using legendary resistances, use 2 legendary actions to break off all magical abilities that are on you. So that way it at least is useful for like a turn or 2, and then they use their legendary actions and break free.
Yeah,
so that's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
There's other ones we've talked about before that use legendary resistances, and every time they use one, they weaken a little bit or something. So that's kind of cool too. But obviously rules as written, it's not like that. So that's a lot of legendary resistances, unfortunately. Then we got the mythic actions, which I love the idea.
I love the idea.
Yeah, I think it's if done well, it's really cool. And I would say if you want really cool mythic options, go to Tome of Titans, I think is what it's called. I don't want to butcher that, but Tome of Titans 5, you look that up. Fantastic, very high level mythic stuff.
So mythic actions use up legendary actions, correct? Because it says they cost actions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So they just get added on new legendary actions, which are kind of cool. Hurl through Avernus is cool.
Yeah, Tiamat's kind of or Or Bahamut. You're not gonna be fighting Bahamut maybe that much. I don't know.
Bahamut's gonna be helping you unless you're doing it.
Bahamut's gonna be helping you. It's just kind of silly though, because whenever Bahamut dies and gets 500 points back, one of their mythic actions is just to get another 77 temp HP. It's like,
right.
All right.
So third and final thing is we now have 2 stat blocks for Tiamat, right? So this is the aspect of Tiamat.
Yes.
And then we have in, what's it called? Tyranny of Dragons or something. Shoot, I don't remember which one it's in. It doesn't tell me
Avernus,
on D&D Beyond. No, this is in Tyranny of Dragons. They summon, there's a cult, which they do touch on in this book. There's a cult of the Dragon Queen or something that summons Tiamat. And oddly enough, there's a Jeremy Crawford, whoever, James Wyatt and Jeremy Crawford maybe have not been speaking to each other because in the adventure for Tyranny of the Dragon Queen or whatever the hell it's called, they summon, they're quote unquote successful in summoning Tiamat, and that's what you fight here. It literally just says Tiamat, right? Yeah. Then in this book, Fizban, it says that the Cult of the Dragon Queen has attempted to summon Tiamat into this world and was almost successful, and they summoned an aspect.
It's an alternate universe. It's fine.
And then there was a sage advice that said something different. So I don't know. My problem though, my qualm, if we will, the Tiamat that we already had, so much cooler.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it actually uses the 5 different heads. Each head has a different legendary action that does different things. It's super cool. And I'm going to take it a step farther, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, it also has more health and higher AC as well. Yeah. They can't burrow, though. That's interesting. But then I'm going to take it a step farther, ladies and gentlemen. If you really want to run a Tiamat in your game, don't use the aspect. Maybe use the Tiamat from this other book. But there's a really cool action-oriented based Tiamat that I saw a while back that I adore. It's posted on Reddit. Just type in action-oriented Tiamat. It's on Matt Colville's Reddit. Posted by Varus NATO. And it's super cool. It has, first of all, has 1,000 hit points.
I do feel like 500 is kind of wimpy.
Well, it technically has 1,000 because it gets mythic.
Well, how much did that Beholder have that we fought? It was like 200.
Yeah, but this gets mythic, so it gets back up. And then
that is true.
But the cool thing about it is this action-oriented monster, each head has a hit point that you could then sever the head. And until you sever it, that head is doing different actions per turn. So it's very dynamic, very cool. Definitely use this one if you're going to use Tiamat.
That stat block just looks so sick.
I know. Yeah, that's not even the whole stat block. Look, I can just keep scrolling. That's the villain action.
Now, I feel like a big reason why these are super simple is A, for
ease of use.
Ease of use.
Sure. For sure.
And they want people to utilize the development that they put into these higher level portions of the game. 100%. So if your monsters are that big, your DM's gonna be like, hey, let's run a one shot at 20th level. It's gonna be kind of chunky to do this. But you know what?
I just feel like they're
it's okay.
Put some effort
into your games. Let's go. Great Worms are very similar. They're all structured this way.
Yeah, take what I said with the Tiamats and put them with the
Amethyst ones are pretty good. And they do have layer actions too, which kind of adds into it a little bit.
This is fair.
But specifically the aspects don't have layer actions, which makes them the lamest ones of everything in this book.
Right.
Big sad. The coolest thing, ironically...
Great Worm lore-wise, very cool.
Very, very fucking cool, dude. Like, super sick. But the
stat block, not so much.
I think ironically is one of the coolest stat blocks is actually the Draconic Shard.
Yeah, I was actually going to write that down before I came here. I really like the Draconic Shard. I don't know if it's super cool in combat, but it's got great lore implications.
I just think it's silly how a fucking dragon and a sword, maybe that does sound really cool, is more interesting to use, and it's half the CR, than the big daddy god dragons.
So what does that say about our namesake, Dungeons and Dragons, and we don't really like the dragons that much?
Dragons and maybe not so good dragons.
Don't get me wrong, I think the dragons are cool. I think the problem is I almost get like, my brain goes numb when I keep looking at the same type of stuff. Because to be fair, you're not going to be fighting an amethyst dragon and then a green dragon and then a red dragon. Because if you did, it'd be very samey. But there's really like 1 or 2 dragons, probably maybe 3 max you would run into in a campaign.
What gave me a really big chuckle was where is it? It's the Living Breath? What is it?
Yeah, Living Breath is cool.
It has a fucking slam attack. How does that make any sense?
I hate slam attacks.
How does it make any sense?
Things that have slam attacks, maybe we just want to keep scrolling.
Well, that's the thing, is like early level stuff is they're very homogenous. They all have a swing, a pseudopod, a slash, and it's like, how the hell does that carry all the way into CR30? How are they still just cookie cutter shit? I don't know.
gonna say it here too. One of my other disappointments was the Elder Brain Dragon.
Yeah, it's not as sick nasty as I thought it was gonna be. It still looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, the artwork's next level, but it's just.
Can't you name something like?
It just doesn't do as cool things as I would have liked it to.
Would it make it more annoying to make these monsters and more annoying to read if not everything was just bite claw? Like right away what this is gonna do. But give me like, I don't know, fucking pseudopod teeth bite, major attack, extra hyper ultra. Name it that or something. I get cooler.
I just don't know. It's interesting that I'm looking at this. I just don't know what I would have preferred. Like I feel like I just got my expectations too high when I saw the artwork.
Yeah.
I think you know what I think. This is what I'm gonna say. This is gonna be my closing statements on the bestiary here. This is what I'm gonna say here. I am looking forward to when Matt Colville makes his monster manual. Because I think they either need to hire someone like Matt Colville. Though, right? He did. But think about the Illrigger in monster form. That sounds pretty sick.
No, I would need to be playing the Illrigger to be able to survive that.
I'm very much like, I think his view of action-oriented creatures and the videos he's done on monsters makes me very excited for something like that. So I'm intrigued. Yeah. I think WotC just needs a new perspective.
I don't think they will. I think there's more money in simplicity.
But I think they would be more successful with a new perspective on beasts.
What I'll say about Matt Colville is I think his
great hair.
True, very true. A very charismatic man.
Yeah, very charismatic.
I would say the things that he makes player stuff wise, Illrigger and maybe eventually the monsters plays like an ARPG. The complexity.
We should at least shout him out for the most part because he's I will say this, I'm sure James Wyatt might disagree. He's the one that brought Jim Dragons back to the forefront of everyone's mind. He loves them so much from older editions.
They're fucking sick.
Yeah, he put them into his newer books, even though they weren't bestiaries. He just tossed them in because he loves them so much. He made his own.
They are so cool. They look cool. They are cool. They're shards of Sardin, whatever his name is. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of dragons come from one drag progenitor, but it's just so fucking badass. I don't blame him. Big standouts for me as well would, of course, be the fucking Horde Mimic. What dragon's allowing a mimic to stay in their fucking horde? Maybe they don't know. I don't know. Elder Brain Dragon still did enjoy it in the Idrake, though, however lackluster it is. It's a low CR fun monster to look at.
So last thing I meant to say, this is not my closing statement. This might be my closing statement. So we did get to see our first look on what the new spells, not spells, are going to look like.
Yeah, the abilities.
Yeah, the Draconic Mastermind has the shield spell just as a magic shield reaction. Does everything
it say it can be counterspelled or anything?
No. Does everything a shield spell would do, +5 AC, but it's a reaction action. Is no spell. It's not in its spell. It has a spell casting area. It's not in there. There's no shield in there. So this is completely separate. And
I like it.
When it comes to something like shield, that's fairly non-important. Like, would I ever waste a counter spell on a shield? No, unless it might kill them if they block it.
Think about how many class options and abilities are effectively just a spell, and they can't be counterspelled because they're class abilities.
Yeah, but if they do this for everything with fireballs and lightning bolts.
Well, that is true with damaging spells. Is there any damaging spell in its stat
currently?
No.
I mean, they have an energy ray.
I guess it seems like you can't counterspell damaging spells, damaging abilities anymore. That's odd. But we need to see what they do with counter spell in the future to see if they change it at all.
Because it seems weird to me to have shield as a reaction called magic shield, but then have other spells just tossed into its spell casting area. To be fair, those are not spells besides Dimension Door or Invisibility you would ever use in combat.
Yeah, it's hard to find a reason, right?
I feel like what they should do, and something that I would prefer, is to have shield in its spellcasting area. And then this is what I assume they were going to do already, is then separate that into reaction area as well. So I'm just, in the back of my mind, easy to see, okay, that thing's got shield, I can use that.
Yeah.
Because with the bonus actions as well, too. But
this is the most controversial portion of it, I would say.
This is the first little taste of it.
Guy looks pretty cool, though, I will admit. The Draconian Mastermind.
Yeah.
I'll be fighting that guy in a second campaign at some point.
So we'll see how this will be on the big scale. and a little bit in Strix. Actually, honestly, we'll probably see a lot of it in Strixhaven as it's a magic-based academy.
Yeah.
So we'll see a little bit there, and then more so in.
I hope they put the. And they probably will the dragons in each of the classes, like Shadrix from Silver Quill and all that. I want to see them. Those stat blocks, if they have them as monsters, they probably won't. But I'm interested to see what goes on.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you want to kind of chat with us about everything we've talked about, of course, you can go on our YouTube videos, leave us some fancy comments, but we've also got social media at Dungeon Crawl Pod for both Twitter and Instagram if you want to jump in there. We've been a little bit more active on Twitter. We want to kind of meet you guys in the Twitter sphere and kind of jump into a circle, chat with people. Let's get that moving. Let's make our Dragon Coven. I don't know what's going on with those words there. But if you also want to join Dragon Cult, if you want to join a more community-oriented situation, we do have a Discord, which is in the link in the description, in the link tree. You can jump in there. We've got several games running at once. Right now, we've got a Call of Cthulhu game going on that's happening this weekend. I think... No, not this weekend.
Zelda this weekend.
We got Zelda this weekend. This Zelda-based D&D campaign that's been going on. It's still going and might continue a little bit farther. There's just a bunch of other things that are going on in terms of, like, maybe you play Genshin Impact, some other video games. There's a spot for whatever you want to chat about. Good Friday people there.
If you want to run your own game, hop in, let us know.
We'll get to know you a little bit first.
Sure.
We'll see. Outside of that, of course, if you're wanting to email us, that's thedungeoncrawlpod@gmail.com for all your business inquiries. And then moving forward from there, again, we do have a Patreon where we've got some lovely supporters.
Can we apologize? Last week we didn't shout it out.
Shit.
I apologize.
It happens. So
I noticed that after I uploaded.
F to pay respects.
Yeah.
Or F to pay us. I'm kidding.
F to pay us respect.
F to pay us respects.
But apologies.
But an even bigger shout out now to everybody that supports us on Patreon, and particularly those in the Dungeon Crawl and above tier. Squid, whose silent support on us
what a guy.
Does not go unsaid, unspoken. So thank you very much. Scrolling across the screen.
What a guy.
That's my shtick. What a guy.
What a guy. So last thing to close us out, closing statements. If I was in a courtroom, my closing statements as I shut my briefcase, is I was in counseling today. I'm a
semi-pro
training counselor. You know how it is. Possibly did my best session yet. And afterwards, as I'm writing my notes, because we have to write notes after each session, you know, what happened, what transpired, that type of stuff, in case I ever get subpoenaed and go to court. But
gotta cover your ass.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's also good to, you know, remember what happened in session. Yeah. But while I'm writing, and I picked up my pen to write, because permanence is important, I heard a voice in the back of my head.
Oh, shit.
Turns out it was, to make a long story short, it turns out it was Eldincer, this very ancient dragon that we kind of touched on previously.
Yeah, this boy, he's pretty cool.
Turns out he has left the Draconic Shard that he was in and is now within my pin, strangely enough.
Is it like a good pin, though? Or is it just something?
I mean, he was just very curious about me. He wanted to know how he got there, and I was like, I don't fucking, this is my pin, bro. How'd you get in my pin?
Get him a pin.
Turns out it was actually a different pin. I picked it up later, and I'd lost my other pin, so someone had picked it up, like almost like they had this pin. I was like, oh my god, I got rid of Eldincer, and they did like a little switcheroo. But Eldincer, as smart as dragons are, you know, and we started chatting it up, you know, exchanging numbers, that kind of thing. But he was telling me about his other aspects that he can see on like his other planes.
Talk about that.
Yeah, the Great Worm type stuff.
That's so cool.
Across planes and times. Kind of hurt my head after a little bit.
Yeah.
TBH.
Yeah.
But he was mentioning in one of the other planes that he's in that the Dungeon Crawl has 1,000 reviews on Apple Podcasts. All 5 stars. Crazy people are typing and rabid for us. I was like, can you put me in that plane?
Let's go.
He said no. But he said it could happen here. So listen to Eldincer, head over to Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars, leave a review, and say, hey, my boy Eldincer sent me from plane XY83.
If we get Eldincer to, you know, give us a kind of a draconic gift, we eventually turn into dragons ourselves and live long enough to become these great worms, we can eventually kill our other selves in these worlds and absorb their powers.
Yeah.
And then take those reviews. So if you don't, That might happen.
I did think it was cool. And this is my closing thought on the Great Worm. So we didn't touch on their lore, but I think it is cool as like a long form campaign. If you need to kill a Great Worm, that you have to go kill all their other aspects.
Yeah, it's like it's a phylactery they mentioned. It's similar to.
You got to travel around, and that can be a whole like adventure. Yeah, Planescape, traveling across planes, across multiverses. And let's say you got a big D&D fan group. You go from Dragonlance to Forgotten Realms.
Eberron, everything.
That'd be sick.
Well, so in closing, what were we as satisfied, as hyped as we were? That was a weird sentence. No, yeah, definitely not.
Kind of mixed.
I am still. This is one of my top 4 books.
Yeah, I think my expectations may have been a little too high.
Yeah.
It doesn't sour me on future WotC books quite yet, but it doesn't like wow me.
Yeah.
So I'm
kind
of in between. Still.
Different company. But no, this is safely made it into my top 4 books.
Yeah, what are your other top 4?
So you've got the Fantastic 2, which are Tasha's and Xanathar's.
True.
You can't go wrong with those. Eberron. I just fucking love Eberron.
Nice.
And then there you go. You got Fizzy Boys.
Boy. That's
those
nice.
Those are my top 4. I lean towards content heavy things.
Sure.
Or things that have Eldritch Abominations in them.
Yeah, I think we could very much do with a D&D Eldritch adventure at some point.
Fucking do it.
Pathfinder's done a couple.
It does.
Where you at, WotC?
You know what else has a couple? Well,
Dungeon Crawl Podcast, baby.
Dungeon Crawl Podcast. As always, he's been Ryan.
He's been Braxton.
Thanks for doing a little crawl with us. We've returned in the form when I'm no longer terribly sick.
Yeah. I don't know what we're doing next week, but it's going to be good. I promise.
It's going to be good.
I feel like we talked about something. I don't remember. Or maybe this was as far as we'd planned.
Maybe. Any contingency was we might do something else this week if we can't read fast enough. So now we'll be able to maybe cover releases the same week they come out.
Yeah, adventures might be a little tougher.
Maybe. Yeah, this was definitely like to go through this and not take many notes and just kind of think.
Yeah, this was a little faster.
It was about an hour and a half, I'd say.
Is Strixhaven supposed to be an adventure?
We don't know.
I would hope.
It's got like a really cryptic statement as to what can be in it.
Well, it's coming out next month, so.
I mean, see you guys for that, I guess. Shit.
Jesus.
Goodbye.
Peace.